Um, my name is Tingminao Horam. I am currently teaching at a college in Ukhrul. Please be seated. Yes, I will introduce you. I'm currently a teacher. Um, I teach English at a college in Ukhrul right now, but there are so many people that are inspiring me to think more deeply about writing, translation, and things to do with literature. I welcome Sir Tayenjam Bijoy Kumar, and I welcome Jong Chakanim also. Thank you, Kapisa, for always interpreting so well for us. This session is titled Violence as Narrative and Reality. I will continue as I speak, sitting. Jong Chakanim, Jong Yoo-jong, is one of Korea's most prominent crime thriller authors, often compared to Stephen King for her psychological intensity. She is the award-winning writer of 4 novels, including the #1 international bestseller, The Good Son, and also 7 Years of Darkness. Her writing is very psychologically deep. It asks not why monsters exist, but how ordinary people become them. She writes tense, fast-moving novels that stay inside the minds of people capable of extreme choices. Her stories focus on crime, obsession, family damage, and the slow build-up to violence. We are so fortunate to have her here with us in Manipur. Let's give her a round of applause again. We are so honored to have Sir Tayenjam Bijoy Kumar sing in our midst. His work spans fiction, poetry, and translation across Manipuri and English. A bilingual writer and translator, his writing brings theater, history, and regional voices into wider literary circulation. He is a bilingual writer and translator from Imphal, a former vice president of Northeast Writers Forum. He has published 6 books in Manipuri and English, including the Manipur trilogy, and contributed to anthologies by Oxford University Press, Penguin, Sage, and Sahitya Academy. Ramu Prasad's Angel is a collection of short stories, and The Story of a Once Fertile Land is a collection of poems translated from Manipuri into English. We are honored to have you both here. Yes. Sir Bijoy, I read that he is an engineer by profession. Yeah, he says he's not from a literature background. So I'm very intrigued. As I did my research, Jong Chakanim was also a practice nurse before she became a writer. So first question I want to ask both of you is, how did you come into writing? What made you come into writing, as coming from different professions, and particularly from the science field? Yes.
I started writing very late, when I was almost 14. So when I was I started writing very late, when I was almost 14. The thing when we were in school, that there were not much difference between the rich and poor in those days. But when I was working in electricity department, that on my way to office. That was in around 1996. On my way to office, I often saw two small boys with bags slung over their shoulders, and they were rummaging through garbage heaps, searching for bits of plastic, bits of iron or metallic objects which they can send to those dealers, actually they're scrap dealers. So it gave me a pinch in my heart that our society has come down to such a level, and when we were in schools, everyone had a house, whether he is very poor or very rich, at least one house. That paints my mind, and I wrote a story that was a fiction. I wrote a story of two boys, and I called the story Broken Plastic Toy to Straw. Actually, I wrote the story for myself only. When I write for myself only because I don't know what others like and dislike. So for my own satisfaction, I wrote the story. Around that time, Imphal Free Base came out, then they had a literary column every Sunday. So I submitted my story to Imphal Free Base. It was selected and published. It encouraged me to write more. Then after about a year, the Notice Writers Forum was established. I don't know who was that person. Someone must have read my stories and they sent me an application form to be a member. Then that is how I became one of the founder members of Notice Writers Forum, and I continued writing. After that, I started writing many things. And mostly I write what I see around me, what pinch my mind. Then after that I wanted to write many more things, and then people came to me and asked me to write on this and that given topic. When I write anything on any topic, then it is not my work. It's not, it is commission work, you can say. Commission work, and I'm compelled to write within that scope. When I write for myself, I write whatever I want and whatever I like. Thank you. Thank you.
저는 상당히 어릴 때 작가가 돼야겠다라고 마음을 먹었습니다.
I was very young when I decided to become a writer.
이유가 있어요.
There's a reason behind that.
제가 한국의 굉장히 남쪽 끝에 있는 아주 굉장히 시골에서 태어났어요.
I was born and brought up in a very small village in the countryside in the southern part of South Korea.
거기에는 어떤 문화적인 시설이 하나도 없는 정도의 시골이었거든요. 도서관도 없고 학교도 딱 2개뿐이고 그런 데서 태어났는데, 그러니까 아이들이 할 일이 동네 아이들하고 돌아다니면서 산에 불 지르고 이런 일들을 하는 거 외에는, 과수원에 가서 남의 과일 따먹고 이런 일들을 하는 거 외에는 할 일이 없었어요.
So I grew up in a very, very small countryside where there were no bookstores, no literary related stuff, and there were only 2 schools, and what we all can do was just hang around, start fires in the mountain, or stealing fruits and hanging around in the neighborhood.
그랬는데 이제 저랑 같이 어울리는 애들이 전부 남자여가지고 저 혼자 여자였는데
I was hanging out with only boys. I was the only girl in that group.
여자가 그렇게 혼자 있으면 공주 대접을 받을 것 같지만 사실은 아닙니다.
You might-
굉장히 무시당하거든요.
You might think that when there is only one girl in the group, you might be getting princess treatment, but that was not the case. I was kind of bullied or like looked down upon.
남자애들이 축구를 하면 걔네들은 축구공을 갖고 놀지만 저는 물주연자를 들고 물을 뜨러 다녀야 했어요.
And when they played football, I had to just go around get water for them, or yeah, that was the situation.
어느 날 근데 그런 시골에 서커스단이 들어왔다는 소문이 돌았는데요.
But I got to know that there was a circus club.
그랬는데 아이들은 아무도 서커스단에 가본 적이 없는 아이들이 소문만 무성했어요.
But no one had ever been to a circus club before.
코끼리가 춤을 추고 공중 그네가 하늘을 날아다니고 그런 서커스단이라는 거예요.
So so we got to know that the circus had elephants dancing and princesses flying and around.
그래서 아무도 구경을 못 해봤는데 저에게는 구경할 수 있는 기회가 생겼어요.
I've never been to one before, but I got the opportunity to visit a circus club.
제 할머니가 굉장히 구경하는 것을 좋아하세요. 그래서 남의 집 부부싸움 구경, 동네 개싸움 구경, 뭐 산에 불나면 불구경 이런 거 빠짐없이 참여하시는 분이었거든요.
So my grandmother was a big fan of looking other people fight or dogs fighting, or if there's a fire in the mountains, you would go and look. Very nosy, I would say.
서커스가 들어왔으니까 당연히 구경을 가야겠죠.
And of course, since there is a circus club in the neighborhood, she has to go.
그래서 저를 데리고 서커스 구경을 갔는데
And she took me to the circus club.
그 서커스 천막이 생각보다 작은 거예요. 그리고 입구에서 돈을 내는 게 아니고 약을 사면 들어갈 수 있어요.
And it was not a very big circus club, but instead of paying money, you were supposed to buy some kind of medicine to enter the circus club.
연고 오인트먼트인데 머리가 아프면 이마에다 바르고 배가 아프면 배꼽에다 바르고 이런 이상한 만병통치약을 파는 그런 서커스단이었어요.
It was a circus club where they would give you an ointment, and you would apply it on your forehead if your head hurt, on your stomach if your stomach hurts. Some kind of weird ointment it was.
거기서부터 굉장히 수상쩍었겠죠.
And now it's becoming a bit more suspicious, don't you think?
네, 그래서 일단 할머니와 들어갔어요. 약을 사고.
So I bought the ointment and went inside the circus.
근데 코끼리 대신에 마술사가 모자에서 비둘기를 꺼내고.
But instead of an elephant dancing, there was a magic of bringing out pigeon from the sleeves.
그리고 공중근해 대신에 어떤 여자 분이 나와서 통 굴리기를 하고 너무너무 서커스가 시시한 거예요.
Okay, and so instead of princesses flying, there was just a women just there.
굴,
뭐예요?
발로 통을 굴리는.
She was just rolling around on some kind of wheel. So it was just a very
시시하다.
underwhelming because
그래서 내가 가겠다고 일어났어요. 이것도 보나마나 이거는 뭐 보나마나 빤하다. 그래서 가겠다고 일어나니까 할머니가 제 손을 탁 잡고 앉히더라고요.
So she was bored, so she wanted to leave the circus, but my grandmother, she held my hand and let me sit and forced me to watch it.
기다려봐라. 이제 재밌는 거 나온다.
Just wait and see, the fun has just got started.
그래서 마지막까지 기다렸더니 웬 아저씨와 아줌마가 한복을 입고 올라오셨어요. 단상으로.
So I was waiting, and then grandmother and grandfather, they were wearing hanbok, the traditional Korean cloth, and they appeared.
이분들이 한국말로 하면 만담꾼, 스토리텔러.
Okay, so they were storytellers.
그분들이 재미난 이야기를 해주겠다고 하는데 한국 민담 중에서 가장 시시한 게 있어요. 흥부와 놀부라는 이게 민담이 있습니다.
Okay, so I thought I was expecting a very interesting story, but they just shared about a very popular old story called
흥부,
Hongbu and
놀부.
Nolbu, two brothers.
흥부는 착해서 복을 받고 놀부는 나쁜 놈이어서 벌을 받는 그런 이야기예요.
It was just a very childhood story where the younger one was kind and he got the blessings, and the elder brother was not kind, so he got the punishment, some kind of very child.
근데 이분들은 그런 이야기를 하지 않고 특히 어떤 이야기를 하냐면 형부가 얼마나 게으른지에 대한 이야기를 하는 거예요.
Okay, they already knew the story, but they did not tell the exact story. They were only emphasizing how the elder brother was very lazy.
이 사람이 낮에는 게을러서 하루 종일 잠만 자고 밤에는 너무 부지런해서 아이를 11명을 낳았대요.
And so this elder brother was very lazy. He would laze around all day, but at night he was very active and he gave a birth to 11 children.
그래서 이 아이들을 옷을 입힐 수가 없으니까 큰 카펫을 이렇게 얻어다가 구멍을 11개를 뚫어서 11명에게 전부 뒤집어 씌운 거예요.
And so, but he cannot afford to give clothes to all the kids. So he would just keep one carpet, make 11 holes, and just push the kids inside those holes.
그래서 몸은 가려지지만 한 놈이 화장실을 가면 나머지 10명이 다 따라가야 되고 따라가다가 한 놈이 넘어지면 다 넘어지는 거죠.
So if one of the children have to go to the washroom, they all have to tag along with him. Or if someone falls, everybody falls together.
그래서 저는 그 이야기가 너무 재밌어가지고 그 만담꾼들이 하는 이런 제스처, 표정, 목소리까지 다 그 자리에서 외웠어요.
And
뜻이 있었겠죠?
I found that story very interesting. I was able to kind of memorize all the expressions and gestures the storytellers were showing.
그래서 서커스가 끝나고 동네에 가서 나를 무시하는 동네 남자애들을 다 불러왔어요.
And then I went back to the neighborhood and bring all the boys who would look down on me.
그래서 그 앞에서 제가 그걸 고스란히 흉내를 내서 이야기를 하니까 애들이 내가 웃어줬으면 하는 데서 웃고 울어줬으면 하는 데서 울고.
And I retold that story to my friends, and when I want them to laugh, that part they would laugh. And when I want them to be sad, or then they would react according to what I want.
그래서 제가 그날 우리 동네 최고의 스타가 되었습니다.
Then that very day I become the neighborhood star.
근데 한 번 스타의 자리에 오른 사람은 내려오고 싶지 않아요. 스타의
So
자리에서.
for a person who becomes a star, they do not want to step down from that position.
네, 그래서 집에를 돌아가서 날마다 책 읽기 시작했어요.
I went back home and then I started reading books every single day.
그리고 그 이야기를 동네 아이들에게 매일 해주기 시작했습니다.
And I started telling the stories to the neighborhood children every single day.
근데 엄마가 사준 책을 다 읽고 나니까 이제 읽을 게 없잖아요. 그러니까 아빠의 서재를 들어갔어요.
I completed reading all the books my mother bought for me, so I started looking for my dad's books.
들어갔더니 책이 눈이 번쩍 뜨이는 책이 있는 거예요. 차탈의 부인의 사랑이라고요. 초등학교 5학년이 차탈의 부인의 사랑을 다 읽었습니다.
So there was a book that that caught my attention, and that was
차탈의 부인의 사랑. 굉장히 에로틱한 소설입니다.
Lady Chatterley's Lover. Lady Chatterley's Lover. It was a very erotic book actually.
18금 소설입니다.
It's an 18 plus book.
그걸 제가 통달한 다음에, 그러니까 완전히 다 내 몸에 익힌 다음에 몇 번을 읽어서
And I read multiple times for me to actually get all the details of the book.
제 친구들을 불러 모아놓고
And
성교육을 했습니다.
And I brought all my friends together and start teaching them sexual education.
그렇게 책을 읽다 보니까 어릴 때는 책을 많이 읽으면 글을 자동으로 잘 쓰게 돼요.
So during your childhood age, if you read lots of books, you naturally become a good writer.
그래서 나는 나중에 이렇게 재미난 이야기를 들려주는 작가가 되어야 되겠다라고 결심을 하게 되었어요.
And that was when I realized that I wanted to become a writer one day.
What a wonderful way of telling how she became a writer. She is meant to be the psychological, engaging thriller that she is today. That was amazing, yeah. So naturally, from that point on, you fell in love with storytelling, and you realized that you had some kind of skill and power of storytelling yourself. when did you realize, when did you find your niche in the journey of you becoming a psychological thriller? When did you decide, or when did you find out that, okay, psychological thriller or writing thriller is your craft?
능력이 있는지 없는지는 지금도 잘 모릅니다. 잘 모르는데. 예.
I still don't know if I have the capability to write a very good book about it.
근데 제가 20대 때 그걸 이제 나중에 이걸 작가가 되면 내가 이걸 써봐야겠다라고 생각하는 계기가 있었습니다.
But in my 20s, there was an episode where it made me think, or it made me want to become a psychological the kind of writer.
예, 제가 이제 간호사 시절 직장 생활을 하고 있을 때였는데 그때 한국에 굉장히 쇼킹한 사건이 일어났어요.
So I was working as a nurse, and there was a very shocking incident that happened.
미국에서 유학을 한 캘리포니아에서 유학을 하고 온 25살의 청년이 아버지가 도박빚을 지고 돌아왔어요, 한국으로. 그래서 아버지가 너는 세상에서 가장 쓸모없는 놈이고 아무것도 할 수 없는 놈이다, 이렇게 야단을 쳤습니다.
So this incident, it was about a 25-year-old who was coming back to Korea after studying abroad in California. He came with a lot of debt from gambling and all. So his dad said that you are useless, and yeah.
그것에 화가 나가지고 아버지를 칼로 40군데를 찌르고 어머니를 50군데를 찔러서 죽이고 그리고 잠든 조카가 있는 집에 불을 질렀어요.
And because of the dad's remarks that you are useless, the son, he was infuriated, and he stabbed his dad 40 times, stabbed his mom 50 times, and burned the house down where the nephew was sleeping.
그때 저는 엄마를 이제 잃고 저는 엄마에 대한 감정이 지금도 굉장히 엄마를 굉장히 사랑했는데 엄마를 일찍 잃었어요. 그러니까 텔레비전이나 이런 데서 엄마하고 딸하고 광고만 나와도 막 눈물이 나고 엄마가 너무 그립고 그랬던 사람이거든요.
I lost my mom at a very young age, so I used to love my mom a lot, and I missed her. And when I see television ads with mom and a child walking by, it would still hurt me, and I would miss my mom.
그랬는데 저는 이제 그런 감정이었으니까 그 사람이 엄마를 그렇게 잔인하게 죽일 수 있다는 그 사람의 머릿속이 너무나 궁금했던 거예요. 저 사람은 왜 저런 짓을 저질렀을까?
Since I was also in a very emotionally difficult situation, I wondered what went into that murder, when the 25-year-old that made him murder his parents.
그런데 이제 순수한 그런 호기심에서 공부를 하기 시작했는데요. 그 악인에 대해서 알기 위해서. 그래서 두 가지 공부를 했어요.
So out of curiosity of what went into that 25-year-old, I started looking into it or researching about it.
네, 인간을 가장 객관적으로 읽어낼 수 있는 학문이 생물학이거든요.
And I think to understand a human very objectively, I think we should. I think the best way is to know biology.
그리고 인간을 가장 문학적으로 읽어낼 수 있는 학문이 심리학입니다.
And to learn about the human very literarily, I think it is to read psychology, to know psychology.
그래서 생물학부터 심리학, 그러니까 진화 심리학, 생물학, 인지신경학 이런 공부들, 범죄 심리학까지 이런 공부들을 하다가 한 가지 결론에 다다르게 되었어요.
So I covered multiple studies from biology to psychology, including many underlying studies. So and I came to one conclusion.
그 결론이 뭐였냐면 악한 사람이 따로 있는 게 아니고 한 사람의 마음속에는 아주 환한 햇살이 비치는 황금 벌판과 그리고 빛 한 줄기 들어가지 않은 어두운 숲이 다 공존하고 있다는 걸 깨달은 거예요.
And my conclusion was that there is no human is separately evil. There is no separate evil human. Good and evil exist together in the same person, like an open field with sunlight and one very dark forest where no sun is penetrating into it.
이 황금빛 벌판에는 사랑이라든가 연민이라든가 배려, 공감 이런 것들이 살지만 이건 우리 사회생활에서 엄청 필요한 거죠.
So in the evil part, in the good part of a human, we have the love, compassion, and all the positive traits that are required in the society.
그러나 어두운 숲에는 질투, 시기, 그리고 충동, 폭력 이런 아주 저는 야수라고 부르거든요. 우리 안에 야수라고 부르는데 이 야수들이 삽니다.
And on the evil part of the human, we have these negative traits like jealousy, conflicts, violence, which I like to term it as a beast.
그런데 이 야수들은 평상시에는 조용하게 잠들어 있어요. 맨날 나오면 그 사람은 감옥에 가야 되겠죠.
So, but normally this beast is not waking, is in hibernation mode, I would say. And if the beast is always up, then we should be already in jail, in prison, for all the activities that we would be committing because of this beast.
그런데 어떤 계기에 의해서 이 야수들이 튀어나오는 순간이 있어요.
But there are circumstances where this beast comes up.
이 튀어나오는 순간이 한 사람의 인생을 송두리째 뒤바꾸는 어떤 기점 포인트라고 저는 생각했어요.
And when this beast opens up, it triggers or it flips completely. It flips the human, the person completely.
그래서 저는 그 순간에 집착하는 작가가 되었습니다.
And I am obsessed with that very particular time when the beast opens up.
그래서 한국에서는 독자들이 저를 무서운 형님이라고 부릅니다.
And that's why the readers in Korea would refer to me as the scary older brother.
Thank you so much for describing to us that journey and your thoughts about psychological this thing, and that we have beast in every one of us, a beast in every one of us. This is what I've noticed with Sir Bijoy Kumar's, Bijoy Singh's short story collection of short stories, and reading Jongchaka Nim's Perfect Happiness. It was unputdownable, this book. I could not, once I started reading this, I could not put it down, and I had to read it in 2 nights because I could not bear not knowing what happens next. And the interesting thing about this book, and in comparison with Sir Rama Prasad's Angel, this book, this is a collection of short stories written by him. The difference and the similarity between these books and the way you write is, Jongchaka Nim makes us want to read the next word and wait in earnest what comes next. But with Sir, he describes situation and the setting in such a way that he does not write the action. He does not write the action or the thrilling part of it. He leaves it to our imagination. Yeah. So I found this, reading these 2 ways of writing, you both write about violence or the beast in all of us in such a way that you write it more explicitly, in that sense, in a thrilling way. But Sir writes it in a way that is that leaves the audience to think upon human nature and to think upon, he leaves words to our imaginations. So that is what I found interesting about you. And the similarity between your writing, both your writing, is you write about common people, ordinary lives. And I found it so heartwarming that you give voice to common people, ordinary people in your collection of short stories, which are very much shaped by the society, shaped by circumstances and situations in their life. But you leave it to us to understand that. You leave it to us to ponder about what makes them human and what makes people become beasts as well. So I'm really thankful to have the privilege to have experienced both these two ways of writing that I found. The question that I was leading to, as I stated that, was while Chong Chakanin, she realized that she wanted to be a writer when she was young. Sir, also, you mentioned that you wanted more translation. You felt the need for translation when you were very young. So apart from being a writer, you are also a translator. So you write here, my journey into the realm of translation. As a child, I had felt the need for translation. What was the need? Where did the need come from? And can you please explain to us what was it that was happening that you strongly felt this need?
Actually, when I was in middle school, actually we used to get many books and many comics. My father used to buy lots of books, and we used to subscribe to Illustrated Weekly books, then Illustrated Weekly Plan, then Classic Illustrated Junior, those comics. Actually, I wanted to read those in my mother tongue, but it was not available. And that was how I felt that these stories should be translated for children, so that they can also understand. I could hardly know what was written there. And when I was studying in class 6, I did like this. During the summer vacation, I bought 2 copies of the same comic books. Then I tried my hand at translation, and in one copy I used watercolor to hide the text in the dialogue box, and with a pencil, and I wrote a few lines, and that in Manipuri, my mother tongue. That was how I started translation. And during the whole summer vacation, that was over 1 month time, I could finish only 2-3 pages. Then I came to know that translation is a very tough thing. It takes more labor than doing my own work. Even now, I think translation is very tough. It takes 10 times more labor than my own. And one more thing is that when I write for myself, I'm free to write what I please. But then when I do translation, it is restricted within the text that the original writer has written. And translation can be done in many ways also. Many ways means it is very important for me, for the reader, the target readers. If it is for academics, then I can put so many references, put notes, this and that. But when the readers are general readers, then it will bore them. So I try to put the meaning itself, embody the meaning in the sentence itself. Say it's a flower, then I write. And one more point is that I want to retain some of the words in the original language when I translate, to give it regional flavor. Because even if the same equivalent word is available in English, then the whole charm will be lost. So I try to retain not many some of the words into in the translated version, and put the meaning in the sentence itself. And I became a real translator, only after I joined Notice Writers Forum. I was compelled to take up translation. In 2000, Actually, Northwest Writers Forum took up a translation project in collaboration with Katha. In Katha, we had an understanding that we will bring out 6 volumes of the writings in the Northeast and translate it into English, and they will publish it. And for that, for Manipuri Pajira, I was entrusted with the selection of short stories, novellas, and plays. The selection was not much of a problem because my writers' friends from Manipur, they came forward and did the selection. But then finding the translator was a big problem. Not many people were there to ready to do the translation. So ultimately, I had to translate most of the stories and plays and novellas selected. That is how I became a translator. Did I answer?
Would you rather be known more as a translator or as a writer, author of stories?
Actually, as I said, translation takes 10 times more labor than doing my own work. I prefer to do my own work. Even now, I'm not able to do many things because I get commissioned, commissioned works, some articles, special articles for this and that, and my own other commission keeps me away from doing my own.
For Sir to write more, then we have to have more translators around us. So there might be a lot of other very good writers that are balked by the necessity to present themselves to do other work, do other important work. So we have to have an equal balance of writers as well as translators in our family. That's what I noticed with him, because this is an excellent collection of short stories which highlights local, very local and ordinary lives that do not normally find voice elsewhere. So I really appreciate that about you. You give voice to very normal people and which are affected by what is happening around them, out of their controls. Out of their control. People are affected by systemic violence. People are affected by the political instability in our scenario, Manipur. And so there are helpless, ordinary people just thrown about by the situation. So I really like that about your work. Coming to Jong Chakanim, I want to ask you, how does South Korean culture influence your narrative, even when the theme feels universally, when the theme is universal, as in we all have a beast in our hearts, but what specifically about South Korea makes your work your work?
저는 1960년대에 태어난 사람인데 61년부터 69년까지가 60년대생이라고 하거든요.
So I was born in 1960, and from 1961 to 1969 is referring to it as 60s.
이 세대가 가장 다이나믹한 세대로 불립니다.
This generation is mentioned as the most dynamic generation.
전쟁 후에 가난했던 시절에 더군다나 독재 정권 밑에서 이제 성장하고 또 가부장제 그 폭력성 밑에서 태어나서 여자 아이는 차별을 받는 그런 시대를 경험했고요.
So right after the war, we were at a very bad situation, and we were also under the dictatorship, and also patriarchy was very prevalent, and women were oppressed.
10대에는 독재 정권에 저항하는 민주화 운동을 겪었어요.
And in my 10, in my first 10 years of life, I also saw the pro-democracy protests and activities going on.
그리고 한참 사회생활을 해야 될 때 IMF를 온몸으로 겪었습니다.
And at the time of my teenage, where I should be working in the society, I saw the IMF firsthand. I experienced.
그리고 그 시대를 겪고 났더니 우리는 부모를 모시는 세대였는데 제 자식들은 우리를 안 모십니다.
So past that IMF,
우리를 모시지 않는다.
네.
우리는 부모를 모셔야 되는데 자식은 우리를 모시지 않는 세대.
we should be looking after mom and our parents, but we were not looked after.
예, 자식들은
The children were not looking after us.
예, 그런 세대이기 때문에 온갖 폭력적인 사건도 겪었고 지금 현재 한국 사회에서 지나치게 비폭력적인 사건 그 분위기도 또 겪고 있는 세대예요.
This is a generation where they have seen the violence, the extreme violence, and also the non-violence generation.
예, 그러니까 모든 걸 다 겪은 다이나믹한 세대인 거죠.
So these 60s kids, they are a very dynamic generation.
우리끼리는 저주받은 세대라고 부릅니다.
So we among ourselves we call as a cursed generation.
예, 그런 세대에 태어나서 작가로서는 이 어두웠던 세대와 지금 현재 너무나 평등하고 부유하고 비폭력적인 세대의 이 평온함을 다 몸으로 느끼고 있는 거예요. 굉장히 포지티브하죠, 작가로서는.
As a person from that generation, I have seen the extreme violence and now the very leveled, very non-violent society. So it's a very positive, it's a very advantageous thing for me as a writer.
그래서 저는 소설 속에서 굉장히 어려운 시절을 겪었던 주인공도 다룰 수 있고 내 몸으로 겪었으니까 그리고 굉장히 편안해서 너무나 한심해진 세대도 알 수 있습니다.
So I can portray in my books a character who has faced the very extreme violent and also the opposite, very peaceful and very in a way very uninteresting character.
그래서 저는 제 세대가 작가로서의 저의 세대는 축복받은 세대라고 생각하고 있습니다.
And as a writer, I believe that I am in a very blessed generation.
Do you want to add anything to that, sir? I was very interested in the way, like I said before, the way they presented violence. Sometimes it was implicit, sometimes it was explicit. So since the title of the session is Violence as Narrative and Reality, it's lived reality for Sir and me and people in Manipur. So how do you decide how to write about violence? How do you decide about how to write about the cruelty that man can inflict upon another? How do you deal with that? Yeah.
Actually, I did decide because when we write, actually we can't escape from what is happening around us. So whenever I write something or other creeps in, I can't escape all the things we have seen from the 80s, 90s, even in the beginning of this 21st century. We have seen lots of violence. To the present generation of say 20, 21 years, they may not be that much affected by what we have seen. So, for example, 1984, I think, 1984, in front of Reams, some 10 persons were shot dead, including one medical student from Arunachal. CRPF personnel shot them. That gave me a big pinch. And then at Herang Goitong, that incident where a volleyball match was going on, CRPF, I don't know, the Central Security Force, they fired, and then some 13, 14 people died, and then another 10 people died there at Malome Center. After the assembler went for hunger strike. So this were very common incidents, and after dark, no one dared to go out of their house. Only under compulsion only we went out. And even along the main road also, during daytime, it was very difficult to move freely. Now I remember Manipur chapter they hosted Northeast Writers Forum's annual session here in 2002. For that, actually, we wanted to, the delegates from outside, we wanted to show them around, and we took them to Sandra. For that, we have to give prior information to police that we are going in such and such bus, and so many people will be traveling it. And I wrote as one of the organizers. I wrote to IG Intelligence that we are going like this. They gave us a paper. It was unofficial actually that way, but on the way that there were so many security personnel checking, and we had to get down from bus. So, only after seeing the paper that they have been already cleared by the police, we were allowed to proceed. Otherwise, it was very embarrassing to take our guest to other places, and because of that, all the time if they have to get down from the bus, even every half a kilometer, even less than that, the police will be there, that they must get down from the bus and check. I have seen, and shops really closed after dark. It was so horrible. So that compelled me to write. Actually, and I do write like this, that a story gets up in my mind and I make a skeleton of it, I note it down, and I write it only when I'm alone in the house and I can concentrate only on it. But since so many things like this are happening, there was nothing I could think of to write. And yeah, that's how I wrote the stories. Right.
Chong Chakanim said, although they grew up in a turbulent, they experienced turbulent times. Now it is stable, and that she is blessed that she's living in these times. We wish that for our writers as well, in Manipur and in Northeast India as well. We wish a better time will come, so that we will be able to, so that a lot of people will be able to write, not out of necessity to write about it, but to be free in their own mind to write about the things that they maybe desire to write. So I feel like Sir writes, yes, sir, comment.
That I wanted to write a novel, and I made a skeleton of the story. And normally I do like this. I first make the skeleton of the story, then I do research to fill in. I started it in 2002. I'm not finished it yet because so many things have come up. Okay, that has got nothing to do with violence.
Yeah. One day you will write it when there are peaceful times, yes. When the heart is lighter and the mind is lighter, yes. I wanted to ask Ms. Jong, how in your novels, in your writing, or in your research about human psychology, when do someone invoke the beast inside them? What shapes them to let their beast come out? What is the trigger?
트리거가 있는 경우도 있고 트리거가 없는 경우도 있습니다.
There are cases when there is a trigger, specific trigger, but there are also cases when there was no trigger at all.
그 트리거가 없는 경우가 보통 사이코패스죠.
And when there is no trigger, it's usually a psychopath.
그 트리거가 튀어나오는 비스트가 튀어나오는 그 순간을 만들기 위해서 사실 어떤 어린 시절의 폭력적인 거, 사회생활에서 겪은 폭력 이런 것들이 차근차근 빌드업이 되는 것이거든요.
And for the piece to come up at a specific time, I have to build up such as violence during the childhood or any kind of violence that the character might face.
근데 그 캐릭터가 언제 이렇게 튀어나올까를 알려면 제가 그 캐릭터 안으로 들어갈 수밖에 없어요.
But to know when the beast will wake up, I have to become the character myself.
그 캐릭터 안으로 들어가서 그 캐릭터로서 살아야 하거든요.
And I become the character myself and live the life of the character.
근데 제 책 중에서 굿선은 사이코패스가 내가 돼서 나가 사이코패스예요. 그러니까 사이코패스의 머릿속으로 들어서 내가 사이코패스처럼 살아야 되는 거죠.
And in case of my book, The Good Son, I had to become the psychopath myself.
언제 튀어나오는지 보기 위해서 사이코패스처럼 행동하고 사이코패스처럼 생각하고 사이코패스의 시선으로 타인을 바라봐야 돼요.
And in order to know when the beast will come out of me, I had to act like the psychopath, think and also act or see other people in that psychopath's perspective.
근데 제가 사회에서 친구가 그렇게 많지 않기 때문에 이 바라볼 대상이 남편밖에 없어요.
And I didn't have many friends, so there was no other that I could see from the perspective of a psychopath, except for my husband.
그래서 사이코패스의 시선으로 남편을 2년 동안 바라보고 살았더니 제 남편이 저를 너무 무서워해가지고 저 각방을 썼습니다.
So for 2 years, I viewed my husband from a psychopath's perspective, and my husband got very scared of me, and we had to separate the bedrooms.
심지어는 이렇게 칼로 목을 따는 장면을 이제 시험을 해보기 위해서 정확한 동작을 만들어 보기 위해서 남편한테 서 있으라 그러고 제가 부엌에서 칼을 가져와서 그 시연을 해본 적이 있어요.
I had to simulate the situation where I slit the throat of someone. So I made my husband stand in the front and I bring out a knife to simulate that situation.
도망가서 사흘 동안 집에 돌아오지 않았어.
He ran away and didn't come back for 4 days.
So writing about the deepest depths of human emotions like that, how does that leave you? Like you're simulating it, and then you're imagining yourself as the psychopath. How does that leave you mentally? Is what I'm curious.
네, 처음에는 저도 이렇게 말은 하지만 정상 교육을 받고 자란 사람이거든요. 그래서 사회화가 돼 있습니다.
Although I am saying all this scary stuff, I was brought up in a very normal education. I got the normal education like others.
처음에 그 금기를 깨는데 굉장히 힘들었어요.
And to break that barrier as a normal person, it was very difficult for me during the initial stage.
설마 이런 짓까지 할까? 뭐 그런 어떤 생각을 하면서 그 금기를 깨는데 시간이 오래 걸렸는데 일단 깨고 나니까 어떤 심리 상태가 되냐면요.
At first, it was very difficult for me because I also started to question: Is this even real? Is this possible? But once I break that barrier,
네, 신이 납니다.
I
괴롭히는데.
was excited. I was thrilled.
어떻게 하면 더 잔인하게 괴롭힐 수 있을까? 이제 그런 생각을 이제 하게 되는 거예요. 그렇게 살다 보니까.
As I start to live like a psychopath, I was more thrilled. I was more fascinated. I started to think about how to make it more fun, more.
그렇게 하고 이제 끝나고 나니까 그 세계에서 빠져나와야 되잖아요.
And once I'm done with the book, I have to come out of it, right?
그래서 그럴 때는 저를 못 살게 굴어요, 몸을.
And I physically torture myself
그래서
to get out
히말라야,
of it.
안나푸르나 종주도 했고, 그리고 산티아고도 갔고, 심지어는 저는 마라토너입니다.
And so, in order to physically be active, I went to the Himalayas. I finished the Annapurna circuit in Nepal, and I also went to Santiago. And I'm also a marathon runner.
그래서 달리기를 하면서 그 내 몸 안에 들어왔던 악마의 기운을 이렇게 몰아냅니다. 근데 그게 잘 안 될 때가 있어요.
And so I keep myself physically active to relieve the evil that is within me.
그러면 술을 몽땅 마시고 잡니다.
And there are times when the things don't go as planned, so I drink and sleep. I drink a lot and sleep.
I think it takes someone very mentally sound and healthy to be a to write psychological thriller, and she seems to be a very healthy of mind and health, and I appreciate you. Yeah. And yeah, first when I met you yesterday and today as I saw you, I was thinking she's so bright and she's so energetic. How can she write a book like this is what I thought. Yeah, so imagining psychological thriller writers to be like broody and like mysterious, I imagine it to be like that. But you're such a change, and it is refreshing. Yes.
저 한국에서 저를 보면은 무서운 형님으로 생각하다가 저를 보면 다정한 언니라고 말합니다.
So when they read the books, the readers in Korea, they would refer to me as the older scary brother. When they actually meet her in person, they would refer to me as a kind elder sister.
Yes, exactly. Yes. What shall I ask? So many questions to ask. Please, audience, please think of questions to ask while I also go through this again. For you, when you write, for both of you, what comes first? Is the plot comes first, or the character comes first, or the situation comes first? The feeling or emotion that you're stuck with comes first. What do you begin writing with?
Yeah, as I said earlier, when I start writing, then I have the skeleton of the story in my mind. But yeah, for the plot, everything. But it also gets changed as I go on writing. I make changes here and there, and that's how I write. Now, it can be anything. Characters fill in later, or sometimes a character comes first.
저는 공간이 먼저.
For me, the physical space, the geographical space of the plot, that comes first, the setting.
그 이야기가 물리적으로 현실적으로 가능하게 되는 그런 무대라야 하는 거거든요.
So I usually stage it up as realistically as possible, like the physical space of what goes in the book.
그러면서도 주인공의 내면을 상징할 수 있는 그런 것도 품을 수 있는, 그러니까 주인공이 악인이면 아주 음습한 장소여야 합니다. 그걸 내면을 은유할 수 있는.
But it also should be a space where it will hold the character or will set the character in that place very well, well-suited place for the character.
그래서 저에게 공간은 하나의 캐릭터로 작동합니다.
So the space in my novels acts as one character.
그리고 공간이 만들어지면 이제 주인공을 세워야 되는데요.
Once the space is established, I have to put in our character.
이 주인공을 만들기 위해서 5가지 질문을 던집니다.
And to create a character, I ask 5 questions.
그는 누구인가? 라는 질문이 첫 번째예요.
Who is the character? That's the first question.
그가 키, 몸무게, 직업, 학벌 이런 우리가 외형적으로 알아낼 수 있는 것이 바로 그는 누구인가에 해당되는 질문입니다.
So the first question is who is this person? Like in terms of height, weight, his studies, and something that we can see visually of the person.
두 번째 질문은 그는 무엇을 욕망하는가입니다.
And the second question is what does he desire? What does the person desire?
이때 욕망은 외적인 욕망과 내적인 욕망으로 나뉘는데요.
And this desire is now categorized into two: external desire and internal desire.
외적으로 예를 들면 이 사람이 의대생이다 그러면은 겉으로 외적인 욕망은 의사가 되는 거겠죠.
So for example, if the character is a medical student, then from the exterior surface, we would think that he would become a doctor.
그러나 이 사람의 내적인 욕망은 기타 하나 들고 이 세상을 돌아다니면서 길거리 버스킹을 하면서 자유롭게 집시처럼 사는 것입니다.
But it could be that the internal desire of this person could be that he would just carry a guitar around, sing, busking in the streets.
그래서 이 두 욕망이 갈등을 일으키고 이긴 쪽이 이제 다음 행동에 나서게 될 텐데 외부적 욕망이 이기면 이 사람은 주인공이 아니에요.
So so there will be a conflict between the internal desire and the external desire, and if the external desire wins, then this person cannot be the protagonist
굉장히 뻔한 이야기이기 때문이죠.
because that's a very obvious result that we will see.
내적인 욕망이 이겨서 내가 집시처럼 살아가기 위해서 어떤 행동을 해야 합니다. 그래서 세 번째 질문이 그걸 하기 위해서 어떤 행동을 하는가? 그게 세 번째 질문입니다.
And to be a protagonist, the internal desire has to win. And so now comes the next question: what is his action to realize the desire?
그리고 네 번째 질문은 그가 행동을 하는데 막아서는 장애물이 무엇인가입니다.
And is there any obstructions, any things that is acting against his will for the character to become to achieve the internal desire?
흔히 말하는 안타고니스트거든요. 이 안타고니스트는 자연일 수도 있고 사람일 수도 있고 동물일 수도 있고 사회적인 상황일 수도 있습니다.
And so this number 4, the obstruction that she is mentioning is the antagonist, and it can be nature, person, or situation.
심지어는 자기 자신일 수도 있어요.
And it can also be the person himself or herself.
그리고 이 의대생의 예를 들자면 이제 내적 갈등이 이겼으니까 기타 들고 거리로 나갔지 않겠어요?
So if taking the example of the medical student again, now that his internal desire won, he would be carrying the guitar around to sing and busk in the streets, right?
그의 안타고니스트는 이 의대생을 잡으러 온 부모일 수도 있고 너무 배가 고파서 쓰러졌기 때문에 죽음이 이 안타고니스트로 작용할 수도 있습니다.
And the antagonist here, the obstructions would be the parents who would come and to get him back to his home, or it could be that he does not have enough money to buy and he would be just lying down on the streets. So that is a situation that can obstruct his to achieve his internal desire.
이때 안타고니스트의 조건이 있습니다. 주인공보다 약해서는 안 돼요.
And
주인공과 대등하거나 더 뛰어나야 돼요.
And there are specific characteristics that this antagonist should have, and that is the character of this antagonist should be equal or more powerful than the protagonist.
그러나 주인공을 없애버릴 만큼 뛰어나서는 안 돼요.
But not too strong a character that it will kind of diminish the protagonist's strength or power.
그래서 그 결과 어떻게 되는가 이야기가 다섯 번째 질문입니다.
So what happens? What is the result? That is the fifth question.
그게 뭐 비극이든 희극이든 어쨌든 변하지 않은 한 가지 진리가 있습니다.
Whether it's a sad ending or a happy ending, but one thing won't change, and that is.
이 이야기가 끝났을 때 주인공의 인생은 절대로 그 전으로 돌아갈 수 없는 상태로 변화해 있어야 합니다.
At the end of the story, the protagonist will be at the situation where he cannot go back to his previous state or life.
예, 소설은 변화에 관한 것이거든요.
Novel is about change.
Thank you so much for describing it like that. When you said you begin with the physical setting, the physical setting of the plot, I immediately understood what you meant because you give so much attention to the physical setting and the house, especially in this book. Half Moon Marsh is how they translate it as when Yuna's grandmother's place, that house that is near the lake. Yeah, so I was so creeped out and so intrigued and so interested in the setting itself. So there are ducks, there are loons, there are mysterious cries that are coming out from the lake, and the house is dark with curtains drawn, and there is a small character, a young character introduced in the first few pages, and so that was the hook. I mean, I was immediately drawn to how you played the setting as well as the internal monologue of the characters. Yes, yes. I want to ask both, and I think we will get questions from the audience. How do you want your audience to remember your work? How is it shock that you are aiming for, or discomfort, or kind of some moral lesson that you want to make them understand? Which one do you prefer? Like, what are you going for when you write your stories, when you think about your audience? What do you want to leave? What is your intention?
I have written much about violence, and I want the audience to read like this, that violence doesn't pay. I mean, sun violence and seek peace. Think for the masses and think what violence is destroyed. All over the world, we have seen what violence is done. Peace and release of feelings. This will like the world, better world. This must one day I want the audience to remember me.
네, 저 일단 스릴러와 미스테리의 차이를 제가 이제 설명을 드려야 될 것 같아요. 저는 미스테리를 써본 적이 없고 스릴러를 썼거든요. 미스테리는 목적이 범인 찾기입니다.
So to give you this answer, I would first would like to give you the difference between thriller and mystery. I've never written mystery books. To characterize as a mystery, it is finding out the
독자의
crime,
지성에
the criminal.
독자의 지성에 호소하는 소설이에요. 잘 생각해보고 본인 찾아봐. 이거죠.
So this involves the reader's mind to find out the answer.
그러나 스릴러의 목적은 살아남기.
But in the case of thriller, it is to be able to try their best to survive the whole till the end.
그러니까 독자가 주인공과 함께 한 마음이 돼서 살아남아야 됩니다.
In this case, the reader has to try to survive along with the character in the book.
네, 그때 이 이야기가 서스펜스가 가장 중요하거든요. 쫓기고 죽을 뻔하고 또 살아남고.
So for this thriller, suspense is a very important element. They have to be chased after, try to survive all those situations.
네, 그 불편과 충격과 불안은 서스펜스의 3요소입니다.
And this the things that you mentioned, the shock, the discomfort, and what is the
충격.
moral unease. So those are the three elements of a thriller. Of thriller.
그래서 스릴러 소설을 독자에게 완벽하게 읽히게 만드는 그 연금술, 금으로 바꿔주는 연금술의 역할을 하는 것이 바로 서스펜스거든요.
And the element that makes the suspense and the alchemy and that makes the thriller is suspense.
그래서 저는 제 책 안으로 들어온 독자들의 멱살을 잡고 마지막까지 끌고 가서 기어이 끝을 보게 만드는 거.
So I put the effort. I kind of grab the collar by the. I kind of grab the collar of the reader and drag them all the way to the end of the book.
그 끝에는 제가 세상을 향해서 하고 싶었던 말이 있습니다.
And at the end of the book, I usually have something that I would like to share with the world.
나는 세상을, 인간을, 그리고 삶을 어떻게 바라보는가. 그것에 대한 이야기가 마지막에 있습니다.
So how I see the world is mentioned at the end of the book.
세상,
네.
world.
네.
그 정답이 이제 저의 입장이 거기에 있는 거고 독자들은 거기까지 온 다음에 자기의 입장을 생각해 보기를 바라는 것입니다.
So I usually put my perspective about the world at the end of the book, but I want the reader to also have the perspective, question their perspective.
그래서 독자들이 제 책을 생각할 때에는 힘 있고 의미 있고 그리고 가장 중요한 거 재미있는 이야기로 기억되기를 바랍니다.
So I wish the reader feels the depth and also not just that and also but also find it very interesting.
Any questions? Okay.
Jong 잠깐만.
네.
So when you are since your all your writings are more about psychology, and sometimes it may physically and mentally drain you. So has there been any instance or time when you feel that it has been too much? So I want to stop writing or I want to take a big break. Has those instances ever occurred to you?
없습니다. 없고요.
I have not given an instance.
네. 글을 쓰지 않는 저는 상상할 수 없고
That's because I cannot imagine myself not writing.
글을 쓰지 않는 인생이 저에게 무슨 의미가 있을까?
I feel that my life would be meaningless without writing.
그럼 언제까지 그런 소설 쓰고 싶어요?
연필을 들 힘이 있을 때까지 쓰고 싶습니다.
Until the day I can not leave my pens anymore. So
Do we have any more questions?
작가님들도 질문하셔도 됩니다.
We might have a lot of other questions to ask. This might never end if we continue with asking questions and getting to know them. We will leave this continuation of this dialogue for the next literary tour to happen in the future. We look forward to that. I want to really express my gratitude and love to both of you for making this very engaging. We want to show our love through the gifts that the organizers have prepared. First, we want to give to Jong Jakanin. Please receive this love from us. This is a traditional Tangkhul shawl which is made in muffler. Thank you so much for coming and enlightening us of your writing experience and your life as well. Next we have Sir Bijoy Singh. Thank you so much for who you are. Thank you so much for all the extra things that you do besides your love for writing. I hope you can write in a free mind, with a free mind soon. Yes, besides all your work that you have. This is for me. Thank you. Thank you so much for the bag. Thank you so much for this. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.